I was in tears. The way that Kenya took that mic and was like, thank you. Thank you. I was like, okay. My sis was lit. What's up, y'all? It's your girl Roxy with Roxy Says, and we're going to talk about it. Today we are reviewing episode 9 of Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, did y'all see the trailer for the second half? Clearly, Drew is going to be carrying this season on her. Okay, now we see Ty is going to be causing a bit of trouble. For those of you who do not know, Ty is a basketball player. I can't remember her last name, but she was on Love and Hip Hop. She is the ex-girlfriend on again, off again of Mimi Foss. We know Mimi, Stevie J, all of that. Listen, if Stevie J says that you're toxic, okay, then you toxic. Because even Stevie J tried to warn Mimi about Ty. From what I heard, Ty will steal your girl with the quickness, okay? She's a little cutie, but I heard she be snatching people's girls right from under their arm, okay? I'm just wondering if they're gonna make this situation into another Bolo Gate, right? Like, remember how it was with Bolo? Everyone was trying to find out if Portia messed with Bolo, and it was just on and on and on and on. I'm wondering if they're gonna drag this out like that, but I guess we'll see. So as the episode opens up, Sheree is with her daughter, and she's getting acupuncture because, as we know, she's trying to do the whole holistic route for her fibroids so that she doesn't have to get surgery, because she does know that usually when women do get the surgery for the fibroids, they usually have to get it more than once because the fibroids do grow back. And that is definitely the truth. So part of this journey that she's going on is one of the reasons why she wants to do this trip to Montreal, where she says it'll be very healing and it'll bring good energy to her. And I'm like, okay, that's good. But if that's your intentions for this trip, baby, that trip should be solo. Okay, because going on a trip with these women is going to be anything but peaceful, Sheree. So in the next scene, we see Marlo and her hired friend, and they're talking about the date that Marlo went on with the chef. I forgot his name already, child. But Marlo was saying that he sent her a good morning text, and he told her, don't be a stranger. And when she said that, I was like, hold up. What you mean, don't be a stranger? You're supposed to be courting me. Okay, don't tell me don't be a stranger. You're supposed to be on my line, scheduling the next date, letting me know what we about to do. Like, don't tell me don't be a stranger, because that sounds like you putting the ball in my court, and you're supposed to be courting me at this stage, okay?
I'm not playing with you.
Yeah, no. But in all honesty, I think Marlo is so unserious about this whole situation. She's just having a good time. I don't think that she's really looking for a husband. She's looking for a fun time, not a long time. In the next scene, we see Sanya is planning a charity event for Mommy Nation, and her goal is to raise $50K. I love this so much. It's for a great cause, and Sanya says that she's already sold 126 tickets, so they're off to a good start. And what the charity is for is to raise money to pay the rent of homeless mothers, right? And I remember not too long ago seeing a news special about a lot of landlords who are no longer accepting Section 8 vouchers. So this event is coming at a great time to help these women. So Sanya lets her event planner know that the original auctioneer for the event cannot make it because she's a little under the weather with that you know what, right? So they need to find someone else for the event. Sanya's friend says, what about Kenya? And Sanya's like, who? Girl, don't do that. Don't do that, sis. Because remember when you did your photo shoot last time, you wanted Kenya to be a part of it? So her likeness was good for business. Then when you were trying to sell some hoodies, don't do it, Sanya. Don't do it. But the friend tells Sanya, like, yeah, Kenya would be great. What do we have to lose? And I think Sanya said her dignity. Girl, if it's going to be all that, don't ask her, right? And I'm sure after Kenya sees this, she ain't going to do none of your events ever again, okay? In the next scene, we see Kenya doing her little video shoot with the majorette outfit and the drum line for her Kenya More hair care. And she says that she's doing this to kind of make up for that missed event in Atlanta where she was supposed to perform, but she got sick. And how cute was little Brooklyn when she came out? Like, when Kenya is with her daughter, she is the happiest person on the planet. Like, Brooklyn is everything to that lady. Brooklyn is everything to her. And it's just so beautiful to see them together because we know how much Kenya wanted a child. And even though it's with Mark Daly, child, you can see that Brooklyn is just the light of her life. The light of her life. So while they're doing their thing, Kenya's white knight shows up, okay? Roy. Tell me what y'all thought about this scene, because in all honesty, it was a little awkward to me. So Kenya tells Brooklyn like, oh, look, Brooklyn, it's Roy, remember? And I was like, remember? Okay, so Brooklyn has met Roy before. To me, he's an okay looking guy. He looks cuter in the picture, okay? But if I'm being 100% honest, Roy really looked disinterested. Like, he came to bring her food and it almost looked like, to me, he was like, here, take your Mickey D's. Here's a Happy Meal for Brooklyn and I gotta go. Like, that's what it was giving to me. And it could be because of the cameras, right? Maybe it's not something that he's used to, but it still wasn't giving the energy of this is the man who been knocking my boots, okay? Because that's what Kenya was trying to make us believe, right? It wasn't giving that. But who knows? It could be a number of reasons why the energy was a little bit different on camera. What I didn't like though was that Monyetta had to tell him about the Kenya Moore hair care. Like, I would think that he would know that. I just feel like if they've been dating and they're sleeping together and they're so close, to me, that's not something that should be explained. Like, he should know her theme song. You get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying? Let me know what you think. So Roy leaves and Sanya calls Kenya to ask her to be a part of her Mommy Nation charity event, right? And Kenya lets Sanya know, she's like, look, girl, this is the second time that you booked me for an event and you didn't go through my agent. Okay. And Sanya laughs it off and she's like, and Kenya agrees to do it, but I would not be surprised if that comes up again in the future. So in the next scene, we are at Drew's house and Drew, Allison, and her mom are sitting on the couch and they're having a conversation. And Drew lets us know that JoJo was recognized for being a model student. So congratulations to JoJo. And in this scene, we get to learn a lot more about Allison. Allison has really been out there. She's worked with some really big names on some really huge projects. So clearly she knows what she's doing. And Drew was really lucky to have her as a manager. We finally find out that there is a 20-year age gap between the sisters. Allison starts telling her story about her experience with DV when she was 22 years old from her ex-boyfriend. And she said because of it, she had PTSD, she was having nightmares, and she never really dealt with the trauma. And then the isolation of the Ponderosa, that really brought everything back up for her. And that was one of the times that she had to check herself into a mental institution. So Drew and her mother had no idea that Allison was dealing with this all by herself. They didn't know. So Allison is just really thankful to be around her sister, to be around her mother, and she's happy that she's able to live with Drew during this time. And that has me thinking, like, to think how much this lady needed her sister, right? Needed her sister, and she couldn't come over to her sister's house because her sister's husband didn't like that she called him out when she probably needed her sister the most, right? And that also has me wondering, like, even though Ralph banned Allison from the house, did Drew still go see Allison, right, outside of the home? I'm really curious if that ban was just in the house or if Ralph also told Drew, like, no, I don't even want you, like, going to see her. So now it is time for Sheree's OG dinner, but is it really an OG dinner without Nene Leakes? Like, is it really? I mean, it would have been nice to see her, but I'm sure we could just hang it up flat screen because it looked like the door is closed on that one. Andy's not budging. He's like, yeah, no, baby. Nene burned way too many bridges to ever be on our TV screens on RHOA ever again. But we got Deshaun, Lisa, and Kim. So, I mean, okay. I'll say this. All of the ladies looked amazing, okay? They look damn good. Lisa and Kim had this little weird, forced, awkward conversation. Lisa was like, oh, even when I loved you, I hated you, but I don't hate you anymore. And Kim was like, well, I never hated you. And Lisa's like, well, I never hated you. And I'm like, girl, put the drink down, okay? Because you all over the place. Put the drink down, drink some water, eat some bread, okay? So Sheree's been updating the ladies on what's been going on, and she lets them know that she's planning a trip to Portugal, not Spain, Kenya, okay? Not Spain. And in this confessional in particular, we can definitely see that Sheree might have, I'll say might have, allegedly, whatever, might have touched a couple of things, right? And I'm not against any of that. If you want to do something over here, do what you want to do, baby. I'm just saying it's noticeable, okay? Anywho, Kim is sitting there lying, saying her and Croy doing amazing, okay? They got 11 years in. Things couldn't be better. When we know that they're getting a divorce, but they just call their divorce off. All of this back and forth between Kim and Croy. Listen, those 911 calls, okay? Ridiculous. So y'all not getting divorced now after y'all done wasted 911's time with all this foolishness, huh? Not that I was rooting for their divorce, but child, Kim and Croy are a hot ass mess. And I would not be surprised if by the end of this week, the divorce is back on, okay? Because it's too much. It's too much. Kim was also denying the foreclosure, the $200,000 debt that they have. And it's so funny watching this show when we know what's happening, like present day, right? The same thing with Ralph and Drew, and we know that they're going through a divorce. Kim talking all this stuff, saying that she don't owe nobody and that her marriage is great. Meanwhile, she was going through a divorce. She owe Amex, she owe Walmart, she owe everybody, right? So it's really funny to watch them lie when we know what's really happening. That should be cracking me up. So now the ladies start discussing their divorce, right? So after the show, Lisa got a divorce and Deshaun got a divorce. And I don't remember which season of Ultimate Girls Trip it was, but I do remember one of the housewives saying that it's not a curse, right? It's not a reality TV curse per se. It's just that these women are usually kept women, right? They're housewives of men who make a lot of money. They're stay-at-home moms. They're stay-at-home wives. So once they are on this show and they step out of the shadows of their husbands, they now have their own name. They have their own identity. They're making their own money. A lot of times the dynamic in that relationship changes. So a lot of the husbands don't like this new sense of independence. And a lot of the wives realize like, oh, I can make my own money. I can do this. I don't have to deal with your cheating bullshit anymore. Like, I'm out. So I can definitely see why a lot of these marriages break up after a season or two. The ladies start discussing their present day relationships. And you know Sheree got a life for her man Martell. You know she got a life for Martell and act like we crazy, right? So Sheree says,
Martell, he gets a bad rap, but he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He gets a bad rap, but he's a good guy.
Sheree, how are we forming these opinions of Martell? Are we pulling it out the sky or are we looking at his actions? Like, Sheree really thinks people are stupid. Sheree, why you be doing that? The only dummy is you, Sheree. You think that everyone is as dumb as you are? Seriously? He get a bad rep, but he's a good guy. Sheree, stop it. Kim tells the ladies that even though her and Kandi hugged at Portia's wedding, that there's still beef. Let's back up. Kandi, if you are at Portia's wedding, then it's time for you to forgive Phaedra. Like, it's time. You at Portia's wedding, it's time for you to forgive Phaedra. Because in my opinion, Phaedra and Portia, they contributed to that mess equally. Okay, so if you could forgive one, you could forgive the other. Maybe it's because you and Portia might have did some things, allegedly, okay? So maybe that's why it's a bit easier for you to forgive Portia, but like, girl, come on now. In regards to Kim, on Kandi Speak On It, she says she don't even got no beef with Kim. So she don't know what Kim is talking about. She says Kim was trying to make it seem like Kandi was like fiending to hug her. She's like, no, it was a good vibe. We said hi, we hugged, and that's it. But I don't have no beef for her. So to sum up this dinner, Deshaun was mute like she been since season 1. Kim was lying, Sheree was lying, and Lisa was drunk. Period. So now we are at Sanya's event, and Sanya's sister Sherry is doing her hair, and she is irritated because Sanya did not give her the correct times to show up. And Sherry is like, look, I have a child and a husband. Like, I have other things to do and other priorities. You cannot not give me the correct time to show up for places because I need to plan my life. I need to plan my schedule, my day. And Sanya starts crying because she knows that she's in the wrong, and she does apologize to her sister, which is very important. She apologizes to her and she lets her know, like, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to do better with communicating the times that I need you to be places. And Sherry's like, okay, thank you. Sherry just feels like Sanya doesn't understand how much she has on her plate, and she feels like she takes her time for granted. And I can definitely see that. So the ladies are arriving to the event, and of course, Kenya is late, okay? So Sanya calls Kenya to find out like what's going on because the ladies are already there. And when Sanya calls Kenya, Kenya is still in hair and makeup. Kenya tells Sanya that she does not appreciate that her +1 is sitting at a different table. And I'm like, yeah, Sanya, that's janky as hell. Why is my +1 at a completely different table than me? That don't even make no sense. My +1 needs to sit next to me. So the ladies are asking Marlo about her date, and Marlo is letting them know that her acid reflux wasn't acting up. And I was like, oh, that's what that is? Are you sure that's what that is? Okay, let me tell you something. I was eating during that scene, and when they played the clip of Marlo on the bus, so nasty. Oh my God. But she knew not to do that in front of that man. Listen, Marlo, if you can tame that in front of a man, you can tame it in front of everyone else, okay? Like, Why do you think that everyone wants to hear that? It's gross. So Kenya finally arrives 1.5 hours late, okay? And they had to get started without her. So Sanya is giving this nice big speech about an OG mom who makes motherhood look so easy. And this lady just became a grandma. And then Cairo pops up. We know is Sheree's son. He pops up to give a nice little speech and introduce his mother, Sheree. And of course, Sheree gets really emotional about it because she says Cairo is a man of very few words. So for him to get up there and do that, it meant a lot to her. And it was a beautiful moment. So before they introduce Kenya, she asked Sanya, like, what's the goal for the event? What's the dollar amount that we trying to hit tonight? And Sanya says $50K. And Kenya's like, $50K? We got $50K at this table. I'm like, period. Period. Okay. Listen, Kenya was lit. Do you hear me? My sis was lit. I don't know why, but after that lady introduced Kenya and she got up to take the mic, I was in tears. The way that Kenya took that mic and was like, thank y'all. Thank y'all. I was like, girl. Kenya was like, thank y'all. Thank y'all. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, Kenya is ready to go. She was on one, but she did what had to be done, okay? She brought the energy. She got in people's pockets, okay? She put people on the spot. She did what needed to be done. I will say I did not love Kenya's dress. I didn't. Marlo said she looked like the Wicked Witch. That was funny. I didn't like Kenya's dress. One thing about Kenya is what I'm used to. I'm used to when Kenya comes on my screen, I am like, bitch. Woo, because Kenya be killing it. That's what I'm used to. Every time she pops up when the ladies are going out to an event, even if it's something casual, Kenya is always like, I'm always just like, I didn't get that this time. Like, I didn't get that with this dress. She still looked beautiful. I just didn't like the dress that much. Did y'all see when Kenya said there's $50K at that table alone, and then Candy and Drew was doing the math? Drew asked Candy if she had her $7K, and Candy was like, I got my $7K. Do you got it? And instead of answering the question, Drew asked everyone else at the table if they got their money, but she still didn't answer the question. Drew. I could see it on Drew's face. Like, she was not happy about having to give some money, okay? So all of the ladies ended up donating $5K. I think Courtney donated $2,500, right? Kenya did have to put Sheree and Marlo on the spot. And even on Candy Speak on It, she says they edited out so much that when it was time for Sheree and Marlo to give, especially Sheree was giving excuse after excuse. She's a new grandma. She has to save money, blah, 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 right? And it wasn't until Kenya really put the pressure on them that they finally donated. So it wasn't 10,000. Marlo gave 5 and Sheree gave 5. And Kenya got on IG and said the same thing, that it took them a while to give, right? So Sanya, take notes. Your girls, Sheree and Marlo, were the last to give, okay? Okay. And I totally believe that because Sheree don't even like giving money for things that benefit her directly. Like investing in her business, something that she is going to make money off of. She don't even want to give money for that. So I know she don't want to give to no damn charity. Why Kenya was like, Sheree, I know you sold a lot of joggers. I know you sold a lot of joggers. And why in her confessional did she call Lay Archive, Marlo's business, Lay eBay? I was crying. I was cracking up. Kenya is a mess. So in total, they raised $78,000. Honestly, I do think that is in large part to Kenya. Kenya was turned up, like I said. She put people on the spot and she did what had to be done. And she got that money, honey. And that was pretty much the end of the episode. We did get a little sneak peek on what's to come. We're going to see, like I said before, Drew and Ty and Drew and Ralph. Was it just me? Or when Drew and Ralph were discussing her kissing Ty, there was a lot of smiles. Like, it didn't look like a serious conversation. It looked like they were laughing about it. Ralph looked intrigued. He brought up divorce. I'm like, look, boy, don't be throwing that word around, okay? Y'all that be throwing that word like, oh, if blah, 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 I'm going to get a divorce. Don't throw that word around unless you don't shake. Unless you okay? Okay. What's the update on this divorce? Like, are they pulling a Kim and Croy? Are Drew and Ralph pulling a Kim and Croy? Are they going to come out and say that their divorce is off too? I am curious. Was this all a ploy to save Drew's peach? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Tell me what y'all thought about this episode. Again, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe, and we will talk about it down in the comments. Bye.
Roxy says we're gonna talk about it.